Preaching on it, yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Goal Line Goons. It's your boy RumboyzRobbie. That's TDS Taco. Only one of us is dripped in winning attire tonight. As you guys see, we did not plan for this to happen. We both just came on air, clearly just representing our two teams. There may or may not be some animosity right now.
This was not pre-rehearsed or even discussed before time as well.
Yeah, I didn't think that you'd be wearing loser colors while on air. But hey, it is what it is. Cheers to me, cheers to you, to the whole Big Guy Fantasy Sports, all the rum boys and girls, what it do, dilly. You are tuned in to the Goal Line Goons every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. It is going down. We have an action-packed show for you guys. A lot has gone down in the NFL. Not just today, but over the course of the weekend. So we are going to just get right into covering the injuries for you guys. Leave said, fuck both of y'all's teams. I'm dead. Well, hey, our two teams are in the World Series, and his team is down 3-0. Injuries in fantasy football that took place over the weekend. Jordan Love, Drake May, Jordan Mason, Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Deebo Samuel. The Jags injury is a little interesting because you lost two supporting cast members off that team. Already, most people were pretty much, for the most part, out on that team. Taco, thoughts?
How about this? Y'all were about to trade Christian Kirk for some assets for next year, and they said, no, he is on the shelf and cannot be traded at this point in time. Please do not collect any assets. Please do not pass go. Just sit your ass at home. Like, that has to suck on multiple levels. And I think that you have to really sit back and look at Evan Ingram and say, if not now, when, baby?
Yeah.
Tight end one season, here we come. Like, all in Ingram is what I'm feeling right now when all these pass catchers are out. I mean, Gabe Davis might have a shot at relevancy, but, I mean, the ball got to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. The ball has to go somewhere. Jags find themselves in desperation. Parker Washington may be a thing, which we'll talk about later on. Jordan Mason, his injury kind of coming at an odd time because they have a bye, and then where you kind of get into that window where Christian McCaffrey should be returning. So Jordan Mason's fantasy value at this point is pretty much just a handcuff, which is the theme of this show. It is season.
I mean, here's the thing. We honestly, this is all speculation. Because maybe, and again, this is speculation, maybe they want to go 50-50 with Christian McCaffrey in the end of the regular season. So this way, from the postseason, he's ready to go. I mean, we really don't know what the usage rate is going to be with McCaffrey coming off of tendonitis in both legs. For all we know, he can go out there and fucking pop some shit in the first game. I think he's a speculation hold right now just because it's so much question marks.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of question marks in regards to those guys, in regards to those players. Stephon Diggs, season-ending injury. We have a segment where we're going to kind of talk about how to pivot around that. And Jordan Love, this one, a growing pain. Didn't seem like it was too serious. He does have to play against Detroit. They're going to have to make a decision soon. I don't know what I'm going to do on one of my fantasy rosters in regards to Jordan Love because it's been an up and down roller coaster with him so far. Deontay got traded for 4 half-eaten apples. I'm dead. Doug Peterson tears just got better. I'm dead. And Garindo, please. It's likely maybe not going to be Garindo's season just because, like we said, McCaffrey coming back, so on and so forth. Again, growing injury for Love, concussion for May, shoulder for Jordan Mason, knee for Diggs, collarbone for Christian Kirk, ribs and chest for Brian Thomas Jr., ribs for Deebo Samuel. Gonna get into the bye weeks here, and we only have 2 teams on bye. That be it the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers. Going to be missing a lot of players in this one. You're probably missing, a Russell Wilson, maybe a Najee Harris, who's really been turning it on lately. Maybe not a Jalen Warren, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth of the like. And then for the Niners side, obviously, all the pieces there, right? The Brock Purdy's, the CMCs, the Juwan Jennings, the Jordan Masons. Luckily with a lot of these guys, they're on the bye week, so it gives them time to heal. George Kittle and the like, so on and so forth. Want to get into quarterbacks to add. There's really only 3 that I want you guys to focus on. Bo Nix, finding him in a rookie conversation of, it's no longer a conversation of Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. Now the conversation is Bo Nix better than Caleb Williams? And the stats are actually showing to be true despite the supporting cast that Caleb Williams has. Bo Nix on the season, more yards than Caleb Williams, just 1 less passing TD, and 4 more rushing TDs than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, absolutely no rushing TDs, despite having 210 rushing yards. So Bo Nix, definitely a guy to go and grab. Jameis Winston, eating W's.
Said it last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Up just 3% from what he was rostered last week. I definitely think that Jameis Winston is going to be heavily rostered because we know that what we're going to get out of Winston. And then Matthew Stafford, surprisingly, 39% rostered. Ended last week as QB5, around QB5, QB6. From weeks 12 on last season, the Rams are always destined for late season starts, especially whenever they get healthy. This last season, from weeks 12 on, ended no less than QB8 and above. So Stafford, definitely a guy this time around the season that you want to be having on rosters. Ended around QB5 this past week. Thoughts on the QBs, Taco?
Knicks, we were mentioning this last week. He's straight rushing upside. Like he's literally getting plays, designed runs at quarterback, which is literally what we call the holy grail of points. He's kind of a safe guy. I was really mad because I lost a tough matchup last week. And I was really debating dropping Geno for Knicks. And I was looking at their overall points and everything. I was like, am I wild? Am I crazy? And the momentum for Bo Nix right now is, I have to say it, it's monumental. Like from a fantasy perspective, this quarterback is rushing for touchdowns. Plus, he's able to get some yardage in the air. This is the perfect combination of a guy that in 1 QB leagues, you could look at possibly starting. He's trending towards this territory, especially with all of that, we're seeing at this particular position between injuries and underperformances.
Bo Nix is doing this with a supporting cast of Devon Villay, Troy Franklin, Cortland Sutton. Okay. Meanwhile, like you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and the like over there in Chicago. What he has 1,500, like 59 some odd yards through the air. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams has 1,448. He has more passing yards than Caleb, more rushing touchdowns than Caleb, more rushing yards than Caleb, with a less of a supporting cast. I'm all in on the Bo Nix hype. Box State royalty.
Is that coaching? Because, let's face it, Sean Payton was acting like a mad scientist, a mad genius when he got this Bo Nix deal.
I think it's one guy just being overhyped. Fuck!
Let's go!
All good.
All right. But yeah, he's definitely getting some hype. He's definitely getting some burn. The hype train was there from the beginning. He was acting like a mad genius that he was gonna get this guy. He was.
We'll let y'all win this one, and we're gonna take it back in LA. Go ahead, continue.
And I love that happened on live because I can cut that clip. But at the end of the day, I just love the way the offense was built basically for him. Like Peyton believed in him from the beginning. And for me, if a guy like Sean Payton really basically put his career on the line when he drafted this man, was acting like he got one over on everyone in the press conferences after the fact. I mean, I just have to feel like maybe we've overlooked him completely, and he's definitely viable.
He's
Now,
box
the
score
last thing
royalty.
I want to say is Stafford has Cup and Nuka back. There's a big difference between what he was before and what he is now. He is now viable again.
Like the Rams aren't going to win the fucking Super Bowl, but they're going to go on a late season run, and you kind of want to be a part of it. So I definitely want pieces of that team.
And it's a fantasy-friendly offense. Like McVay is fantasy-friendly. Don't matter how talented these guys are. He put up points.
McVay definitely fantasy-friendly. I want to get into the running backs, and this is really, really leaning into the theme of the show because you're going to notice something here. All of these are handcuffs. All of these are handcuffs, and this is this way for a reason, all right? This is this way for a reason. Ray Davis, 30% availability. Charbonnet, 58%. Tyler Algier, 47%. Ty Chandler, 34%. Braylon Allen, 47%. Roshan Johnson, 22%. And honestly, that's just to name a few, okay? If you got the James Cooks, if you have the Kenneth Walkers, if you have the Devin Chans, the DeAndre Swifts, the Breece Halls, Bijan Robinsons, Aaron Jones, of the like, of the sort, I want you guys going out there. I want you guys grabbing their handcuffs. All right? If you don't already have them, have them. This isn't like previous seasons where you were just maybe trying to grab the next best available running back. I really do feel like that this season it's more important than ever to have the handcuffs, and the handcuffs this year are able and viable to be able to step into the roles of their predecessors and be able to sustain a viable fantasy role. Okay, so make sure that you guys go out there and you have handcuffs. It is cuffing season. Running back is super thin. Running back is super thin this year. Running back is king this year. All right. It's a lot back to that old school mentality, that old school philosophy of Rumboys, you know, how we were preaching a couple years ago. Last year, we were super heavy on the wide receivers. We're back to being heavy on the running backs.
Mm-hmm. And it's just from like when you look at the game planning perspective for a lot of these guys, like guys like Terry Algier on a given week, he might not pop off, but he's not going to be a zero in most weeks for you. Tyler, excuse me. And he's the kind of guy where it's like, not only is he a high class up like handcuff, but on certain weeks, particularly as we hit the bye week blues, he might be a viable start and a viable play because we have to understand with bye weeks coming up, you're going to be put into tricky situations with who you're going to have to start. And let's not add in that random roulette of injuries that just randomly pops up and you never know when it's going to come. And it could be a week that you have buys and you're just sitting back and you have no one on your roster. This is why I believe roster management is fully key.
Luckily,
every single position
fairly balanced this year. Yep. There hasn't necessarily been a major like buy apocalypse.
Yeah, not yet. But we know that we have like week 9, week 12 are like 4 big major teams coming up. So before we get there, boys, we want to make sure that you're aware there's bye weeks that are going to be more heavy as we get turned up towards the end of the season, and you're really vying for a playoffs, and you're like, I need this win. I can't be stuck with no options on my bench. So a lot of these guys, 1, because of injury, or 2, because of their playing time, I think we'll have an opportunity. Terry Algier is probably number 1 to me.
Tyler.
I like Ray Davis.
His name is on the fucking screen.
I'm sorry, Algier. I like Algier. Ray. I like that the standpoint because Cooks. I mean, I know that he is solid, but there's something about his frame that just scares me from a usage perspective for the full season. Seeing how he lands, so I do personally love, and he's already been banged up this year, so he's showing some wear and tear, and he's had more of a workload than he's ever had. So I really love the Ray Davis handcuff. And I think same thing for Zach Charbonnet. Same thing with Walker. Those are my 3 favorites of the list.
Yeah. For me, just if you have top tier pieces, go and get their handcuffs. That is like just the major preaching lesson here. Taco, how are you feeling about Tyrone Tracy rest of the season?
I mean, he's looking like the more explosive player. Like Singletary has performed, admirably, but when this guy gets the hole, he can just burst through it and he's electric. And he was a wide receiver before they put the running back. And personally, I think that he's probably going to get a lot of burn the rest of the year, and he's going to be at least fantasy friendly.
That's the only thing that you guys essentially have at this point.
Yeah,
Let's see here. Getting into the wide receivers, I did put Ladd McConkey in the mix just because he may be available for about 22% of you. And I just also needed some way to slide in Ladd as well into the show. Ladd McConkey had an amazing Sunday. Justin Herbert's a quarterback that loves to push the ball down the field. Looked damn good over the weekend. It's looked pretty damn good, despite lack of receivers, so to speak. Ball has to go somewhere, and Ladd McConkey is clearly the best receiver in that room. Then we have to move on to Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman, 24% available. See if you guys can go out there. See if you can go ahead and you can grab him. He went off. Clearly has to be a top target for Jameis Winston. Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is finally starting to look like Keon Coleman. I attribute a lot of that to the arrival of Amari Cooper, because I've definitely seen a vast difference over the 2 games that Amari Cooper has been there. But Keon Coleman starting to become a guy. If you can't have him on your bench, have him stashed away. Perfect bye week fill-in. Jay McMillan, love what I saw out of McMillan. Baker still a dog. Baker still looking like an MVP candidate. Even despite not having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans out there on the field, still had 300+ yards through the air. So I love the opportunities for Jalen McMillan to be something. Parker Washington, the ball has to fucking go somewhere in Jacksonville. Ball has to go somewhere down there in Duval. And maybe Parker Washington starts getting some burn. Khalif Raymond, 2%. Rostered right now. I like Khalif Raymond because of what he can do for you in the returning game. And plus the Lions are just putting the ball in anyone's fucking hands, right? And then Elijah more so just this could be either Elijah or Judy, playing second fiddle to Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman is definitely probably going to be the one in that passing game here in regards to the wide receivers. But Elijah Moore is just kind of like a dart throw. Anything you want to
add? Coleman, I'm seeing things like he might start getting some more targets. Like everything is trending in coach speak and everything is geared up to Coleman actually starting to tick up. And I think maybe the Amari Cooper, as much as we were thinking Amari Cooper to the moon and maybe Coleman would go down, maybe Amari Cooper is acting like the decoy and allowing Coleman to actually start getting better one-on-one matchups that they feel more comfortable exploiting with that with that extra time that they've had to connect and to bond and to be able to throw and build that relationship. So I think it's a twofold dynamic. The Cedric Tillman is crazy because I picked up McMillan and I'm looking Tillman go off and I'm like, damn, I made the wrong pick last week because famous Jameis, I mean, let's know he puts up numbers and he throws that ball out and he has no problem going deep. I honestly don't know how he wasn't a starting quarterback going into this season, but I mean, I know he has a reputation.
They paid Deshaun Watson. What do you mean you don't know how?
No, not there, but like somewhere. I mean, in the league, like he could have been a start. Like to me, I think he's even better than Darnold. Like I would rather have Winston than Darnold. Like you know what I mean? There's a lot of teams like that could be. I think he has like there's something about Winston. Like there's something about Winston that just. I mean, it's the first time Darnold has shown like something. Winston has been there to kind of like putting up numbers, but needed to get fixed and tweaked a bit. And I think him sitting on the bench for a little bit. I mean, we've seen him when he comes in mop-up duty. He puts up numbers and he can play good. Can he get great? Is he good enough? Like that's just the question. Yeah, but he just
Okay.
didn't put up enough numbers for me last week. That's all. I know overall it's a good pickup.
He'll
The long term is
definitely
there.
get his.
Yeah.
I do agree. Tillman basically a free wide receiver one. Who would I rather have? Amon Ra or AJ Brown rest of the season?
Sun God.
I mean, I'm going to be biased honestly, and for me, it is Amon Ra, and plus Jameson Williams is going to find some way to get in some sort of trouble. Homie's Halloween costume was a prisoner, and that was just just too fitting. So yeah.
And then after that, I don't really think they have any like top flight pass catching options. So, and he gets hyper targeted, and
I'm forever sticking with Amon.
Yeah,
but it's definitely a valid question, and I feel like you're solid either way. Yep. Getting into tight ends that are available, Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz literally, he's so unique because basically if he's just also getting the touchdowns, then he's easily top 5 tight ends. But he is top 10 right now, tight end 9. 42% rostered right now. Go out there and see if you can get you Zach Ertz if you're missing out on Freiermuth this week. We go up against the New York Giants. Sorry, Taco. We just both know that your Giants aren't great. And they're not
honest with you. I saw you guys are like 3.5 point favorites. I'm betting that y'all gonna whoop our ass. Please do. Let's get up that quarterback ladder. I need to see a QB coming my way next year. So please do us a favor and take out the trash.
He'll help you guys with the draft pick. We got you. Noah Fant, 23% available. We keep kind of bring up Fant in a weird way. Did I even correct the tight ends? Hold on. Just give me 1 second because that's not the correct banner that I put up. That is... that is definitely last week's. I was like, these are last week's numbers. I was like, hold the phone.
That's what you call live quality control taking place. We're like, hold on. Something's not kosher right here. 2 weeks in a row with
something wasn't one of these things, not like the other.
Yeah.
And I love how I was just about to go along with this shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm just gonna edit that really fast.
Man. I'm still a little high off of that home run. Oh yeah, we needed that.
Oh, you got jokes. Alrighty, so tight ends, Zach Ertz, 40% roster to be technical. Same things that I just mentioned. He's pretty much just missing the touchdowns. Cade Otton, 71% available. If you could grab Cade Otton, definitely fucking grab Cade Otton, especially when the receiver
winner. League winner.
Cade Otton potentially could be a league winner. Dalton Schultz, when we talk about league winners, especially with
the
Diggs with the season ending, Nico awaiting to come back. It's mainly now going to be Tank Dell being the primary receiver. Could they start going to Xavier Hutchinson? How that's going to look, I don't know. Mechie maybe starts getting some work. I think that Dalton Schultz probably is the most reliable set of hands outside of Tank Dell there. Will Dissly is silently starting to get some work, so definitely want to shout him out. Hunter Henry, hello, especially with Jacoby Brissett being out there at quarterback. And Brenton Strange, there's no one else available for the Rock to go to in Jacksonville. Brenton Strange has been getting some work in that game, in that passing game. So aside from Evan Ingram, I'm also loving Brenton Strange. Your thoughts on the tight ends?
No, I mean, Cade out into the moon, been riding that, and then Schultz. It's interesting with the situation that we have in Houston. A lot of his top weapons now are gone, even if it's just for the short term with Collins, but long term with Diggs, which again opens him back up to be a valuable target, a check down beast. You get a couple of 4 catches for 50 yards, and all of a sudden your tight end scored 9-10 points when you were getting nothing. So yeah, Dalton Schultz to me is on the radar, especially in those deeper leagues where you're desperate and you're going to be needing a bye week fill-in. Make sure that you understand when your tight end's bye is and what's going on. I know week 12 is a decent bye week for tight ends. think the Jags are on bye and the Bills are on bye. So Ingram and Kincaid are on bye the same week.
Okay. Valid take. The biggest one I want you guys to go out there and get is Ertz, Schultz, or Ertz, Alton, Otten, and Schultz, like in that order. Really see about grabbing those if you're needing upgrades. Got to get into the hot topics, the fresh off the press topics here. Again, guys, go out there, handcuff those running backs. I don't know if you heard about this, Taco, or saw this take place during this past Sunday. But I'm tired, Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad because the Colts fans are definitely yelling that right now. Yeah, tap me out. Hey, coach. Colts fans are yelling that right now following the benching of quarterback Anthony Richardson in favor of Joe Flacco, who, let's be honest, they probably should have been playing the whole damn time. Thoughts on AR, tapping out due to being tired? Is this a learning lesson, or should he never even just see a football field again?
Well, I mean, I think this is definitely a learning lesson because there's no way a kid. There's been a lot worse things said and done to cause a kid not to get another shot. I don't think that Flacco is necessarily the QB for the rest of the year unless they're somehow in a playoff run with Flacco. That's the only way that I see that Flacco stays. But I think this is kind of like, kid, get your shit right. Like, you're the face of our franchise. You're having problems with throwing the ball consistently. Now you're tapping out of games. Optically, it's a bad look. In the locker room, it's a bad look. When you're amongst grown men and you're acting like a little boy, it's very hard to command those grown. These are grown men that are killers, especially when you're talking about your offensive line and you're talking about your defensive players. They're going out there putting their careers on the line for you, and you're sitting there acting like that. They're not going to take that very nicely.
We saw
that's my career you're talking about.
Bozeman, protecting Justin Herbert after Herbert getting gator rolled after a sack. After a late hit. Like, those guys are out there putting their body on the line for you, and you can't put your body on the line for them.
Yep. Or like command the room. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like showing like I'm not ready because you're not understanding like the situation. You're sitting there tapping out, thinking everything's gravy, not knowing that all your teammates are looking at you. Like, this is one of those situations as
all
a leader.
city's looking at you.
Yeah, as the leader, you got to kind of take that one on the chin, even if you got to sit in that huddle for an extra 10 seconds, and that next play is the quickest check down to the running back so that he could do something, or even if it's just a straight handoff to the guy. But no, and the way he would run, because there was one play where he could have just went down instead of running into the DB and trying to knock him over, and stuff like that will also take your stamina out of you, where he needs to learn that is not an option right now. Stop trying to think that this is Madden and you're going to hit stick some dude and run into something, because that's also how you hurt yourself multiple times. So I think that this is going to be a learning lesson for this kid, and I think that maybe he shouldn't have started right away. He does need some time to sit on the bench and get seasoned up and learn from Flacco and see what he's doing. But I do think that he is talented, and I do think that he will have a shot. But right now, with everything that's going on, you have to put him down. Now, will this lead to him getting a shot back this season? Like I said, the only way he doesn't is if
next season
Flacco takes him on a playoff run. If he gets them on a
pretty much going to have to roll with them, So next season, it is what it is. But using the excuse like that you're tired, like what you're not in shape, you're a fucking football player, bro. Like, there are millions and millions of people that would die to be in your position.
Yeah,
and you're gonna say that you're tired, and then your excuse is, oh well, I'm a running quarterback. Lamar is out there running all over the damn place, and even doing it throughout the postseason. Okay,
Lamar
and
is smart.
Putting up MVP like numbers. You don't hear him saying, "Hey, coach, I gotta top out. I'm tired." Like, you don't. Jaden Daniels went out there with a fucking broken rib.
Richardson has Taylor right behind him, even if the next play is just a simple handoff. Like, bro, like get your win down. All right, next play, we just got that first. Let me get Taylor in here for a quick runoff after I milk this clock down and I take a couple seconds, and now I can get like a minute to kind of get myself back into game. But he's not even thinking like that. He's not even playing like that. He's not strategically setting himself up in order to last. Like shit, we've all played Madden. We know the guy ain't gonna last. You telling me you never played Madden enough to understand this shit don't last, bro? Come on now. You sitting there using all your energy, overextending, and then you're wondering why on some of your throws you're not able to make accurate throws. Why? Because you're spent. That's probably why. The way you're playing the game can't be done in the major leagues.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Okay, you probably definitely ahead of me because I only saw first strike.
Yep, solo homer.
Yeah, nobody on base.
Third homer of the postseason for Will Smith. 5-3.
All right.
No outs in the fifth, in the top of the fifth.
All right, it's getting spicy.
Okay.
Oh my God, now it's out of the strike zone too.
Say
well, it's not a baseball.
My little friend.
Oh boy,
we're just too good all over the place. Continue.
Where were we again with AR? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing that we really need to think about with this kid is if when he sits on the sideline, is he able to pick up and understand what's going on and how he needs to improve, or is he going to be a stubborn one?
Peyton Manning being like, I'm tired.
Yeah, wow. Even Michael Vick, though. Do you remember Michael, Mr. Initial running quarterback of our generation that most people probably saw? Like, you know, or where he saw clips of. Do you ever see him?
I've never seen a quarterback. I've never seen a quarterback walk off because they're tired. I've never played with a quarterback. I've played with so many quarterbacks. I have never played with a quarterback that has. Bro, do you know what happened to you in high school ball if your quarterback was like, guys, I got to take a play off, I'm tired? We're whooping your ass. But when you get in that locker room, that's causing a fight. You're our leader. What do you mean you're tired? The fuck do you? You're the field general. Can't go to war behind this guy. Fuck that. Can't be tired. Weak ass excuse.
Yep. And I just like
the Leaf said my pussy's tired.
I do think though that Flacco is the right guy for the job in order to like really teach this kid too. Though, like I like that they brought like Flacco to me was one of the most underrated signings for this team because of the development of AR. You don't necessarily need to win now. You need to develop now. You need to build now. You need to see if he is the QB of the future or if you need to pivot. And I believe that having a guy like Flacco there who is, I would say, like football
Flacco's
savvy,
a perfect veteran to learn
he has a
from.
great mind for the game. He's won big. He has MVPs, Super Bowl MVP, so he has rings behind him. So you got to listen. So I like Flacco there, and I hope that he can teach Richardson. And I'm not giving up on him because I think at the end of the year he might get a shot.
To develop. This is a perfect way, like because if you're getting tired because you're a running quarterback, first. Fucking lose some goddamn weight, put down the cheeseburgers, okay? Or I'm sorry, he was working at Raising Cane's for a day with Jonathan Taylor, all right? Yep. Put down the fucking chicken tenders, all right? Maybe adjust your playing style to where you can be a more effective passer at this level to where maybe now you're not as tired because your fat ass is running too much. Because you know who you're starting to sound like, Anthony Richardson? You're starting to sound like Jamarcus Russell. And Jamarcus Russell, ask the Raiders, is the biggest bust in NFL history. Do you want to be a bust, AR? Because that's where you're acting. You're acting like a bust.
I'll say this. Before the season started, we were talking about players that we were fading or we were worried about. And AR was the number one guy that I did put on my list because during the preseason, we were seeing inaccuracy throwing the ball downfield. And what the what throwing the inaccuracy down the field does is it forces him having to run more in order to get his yards or to move the chains, or he's compelled to run because he's not confident in his arm. And now this is spiraling. This is in his mind too. He is, I don't want to say broken, but things aren't right. And I think this is the best thing for them to put him on the bench, reset, redo this. He's not ruined. But before he's ruined and before you ruin the team and everything around him, put him on the bench now. That was a rookie move for him to make that tap out. It was uncalled for in Bush League and everything, like you said, but it's not a disqualifier. It doesn't make him a bad player.
Or kids aren't even fucking doing that.
Right. It's time for him to sit back and learn and get himself right.
Moving on, want to get into these Stefon Diggs injury. How like I said earlier, we are going to have a segment on this. Stefon Diggs now recovering from a non-contact ACL injury that occurred in the midst of the Week 8 divisional matchup, the divisional game, regular season divisional game matchup against the Colts, who we were just talking about. How should managers pivot? What are you doing? I know exactly, or I don't know, but what I'm thinking about doing and what I'm thinking about bringing to my lineup. In a lineup where this greatly affects me, Diggs was usually my flex piece. He was usually my flex play. And Kareem Hunt was always going to be the back flex play. On this roster, I've already done what we preached on this episode by handcuffing my RB1 and RB2, by having Ray Davis and Jalen Wright on the roster, okay, to back up Cook and Achane. Well, now that I've lost Stefon Diggs, I'm thinking about moving Kareem Hunt, and I'm bringing over Tucker Kraft and Darnell Mooney because I have Pat Fryermuth on a bye, so I do need a very good tight end, this week. Thinking about pulling off that move, and at least if I pull off that move, Mooney will be able to play in the flex, week in, week out, with maybe some alternating weeks of Romeo Doubs having to be out there in the flex position. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. It's probably how I'm planning on pivoting. Damn it. All right, we got one out, but we got two runners on base, runners on first and second. It'll be all right. Damn it, Shohei. So that's how I'm planning on pivoting that. Taco's probably just jumping up to take care of baby duty really quick. Brother, I'm taking AR at 505 this year, and you should too. Yeah, we definitely weren't the channel saying that. Shit. Tank Dell, if you don't go off, put the sauce package. Oh my gosh. No, Tank Dell will go off. There's also going to be, probably some combination of Hutchinson and Mechie that'll also be involved in the mix. Stroud is good enough to where he can elevate the guys around him. I mean, he's that good of a player. He's that good of a guy. So, I mean, wouldn't worry too much about that. One of the other ways you can pivot if you're not going to be willing to make a trade, if you don't have the pieces to where you can make a trade, is you can pivot to some of the wide receivers that we were talking about earlier. Okay. Cedric Tillman, like we already said, is going to be a steal of a wide receiver one. If McConkey is able to be grabbed, then I would definitely be, running out there to try and grab McConkey. Waiver wire isn't probably as friendly. As far as the Stefon Diggs injury pivot, the best thing that you can do to try and replace someone of that caliber is the field trades. That's really, really the best thing that you can do. You're not going to bring over, someone same caliber, but you may be able to bring over, a wide receiver, two, maybe a combination of some wide receiver twos, all depending on the firepower that you have on your roster. trying to stall a little bit. Give Taco a quick minute. Next thing we are going to talk about is Deontay Johnson, stock up or stock down. Following the trade to the Baltimore Ravens, Deontay Johnson finding himself in a situation where honestly, I don't know if the stock necessarily goes up too much. This offense already has Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman has been shown that he can be trustworthy. Mark Andrews has kind of been getting back into the fold. If anything, I feel like it just arises more questions for the Baltimore offense. Does Mark Andrews go back and recluse from the tight end position? Now that Deontay has emerged, does Deontay just come out and now all of a sudden he's the one because he's a field stretcher and we've seen how efficient that he can be? He's a guy that, coming from Carolina was probably, the best receiver that they had, was one of the best receivers that Pittsburgh had during his tenure there. Does Deontay just come out and take Zay Flowers' place and for what Zay Flowers was supposed to be? Zay and Rashad Bateman have kind of been, going back and forth, sharing that role. For the most part, the Baltimore passing game has been able to supply wide receiver twos. I don't think that Deontay Johnson's stock all of a sudden booms to the moon. I think that he gets a little bit of inflation, but not like a whole hell of a lot. All right. Probably a bad time for me to be using the word inflation, but hey, it is what it is. Full PPR, pick one, Dobbs or McMillan. I am going to roll Dobbs. Dobbs seems to be the more stable one in that offense, getting the stable targets. So I am going to trust Dobbs. Whether it's Malik Willis at quarterback this week or Jordan Love, I'm still going to be trusting Dobbs either way. Even if Willis has to come in part of the way of the game because of, the injury with Love, I'm still going to be trusting Dobbs. Yeah, no worries, Kyle. No worries, Kyle. Less target share, but quality over quantity. Brother, sunflower seed stinks. I'm dead. Ronaldo or Messi? Why are you asking me a soccer question on a fantasy football show? Ronaldo. Hey, no worries, bro. No worries. Hey, I greatly appreciate the light. We greatly appreciate the light. Oh my gosh. Yo, wild. Anyways, so yeah. Deontay, I say, stock slight inflation. I'm not in a rush to go and try and trade for him onto my fantasy roster. If someone's willing to take the bait, I think this is a great trade piece. This is a great bait piece. If someone's willing to take the bait and be like, oh, well, I'm highly interested in Deontay. If someone fields an offer first and they're willing to give up, a valuable piece to go and get Deontay just because they're that invested into the Baltimore offense, by any means, they can take Deontay off my hands if they're going to give me something of value. So that's how I would be approaching that. Pick up one, trade one, drop one. The one that I'm really trying to trade is, like we just mentioned, Deontay Johnson. He's one that I'm really trying to trade. Kind of given his move. Baltimore offense is scary. People are super heavily invested into the Baltimore offense. They want to be able to go and get pieces. So if I could trade Deontay Johnson while there's a lot of hype around him, knowing that offense typically does not produce wide receiver ones, then I'm going to be able to make sure that I jump on that. Another guy that I am trying to trade away is Devontae Adams. The thing with Devontae Adams is that he has name value, so I can be able to move him off my team lickety-split like it's nothing. He's always a piece that makes it very easy to hustle other fantasy managers. Pick up one that I am definitely trying to make sure that I pick up off of waivers this week. sticking with the theme of handcuffs, if you guys have not already picked up handcuffs at the running back position, I definitely think that you need to secure handcuffs at the running back position. Make sure that you're already having a Ray Davis, a Charbonnet, an Algier, a Chandler, a Braylon Allen, a Roshan, a Jalen Wright, whatever the case may be. Make sure that when we talk about pickup one, that you guys are going out there and you're grabbing the handcuffs, okay? As far as a drop one, really can't be dropping too many people right now. If you have that luxury, that must be very, very nice. But depth is of the essence. Players are dropping like flies. You may be hanging on to a piece right now that if something happens to someone else, they're likely already going to be able to be a fill-in, all right? So let's be a little hesitant about who we're dropping. If you really have a question about who you should drop off your lineup and who you're trying to bring on in addition for dropping that person, feel free to comment on this episode afterwards in the comment section below, and I'll reply to everyone and get you guys advice that way. And then my biggest overreaction from week 8. Look, we know what we're going to get out of Jameis, okay? Jameis can 30 for 30 at 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions with his fucking eyes closed, okay? All right? And that's no jokes about the eye surgery shit, right? We know that we're going to get – I feel like that everyone is overreacting on Jameis Winston. There is going to be a week where the Browns are going to go back to being the Browns, and it's 4-5 Dodgers. Let's go. I didn't even notice that we had scored earlier. So yeah, but that's my biggest overreaction for week 8. My bold take for week 9. Sam Darnold QB1.
That is super spicy.
Here I'll let you chime in on the takes that you missed really quick, and then we'll go ahead and close out.
Sounds good.
Your Stephon Diggs pivot.
My son is sick. Yeah, so I mean, Tank Dell obviously is going to go to the moon, but Cedric Tillman for the non-Tank Dell owners, I think, really is going to be an important factor with the way Jameis can throw the ball downfield and seemingly the way that they can run their offense. I think he's a really interesting pick up and add and player to get in that kind of a situation. Obviously, McMillan, we were talking about as well, with all the injuries over there, has a lot of target share available for him to kind of run with the role. Plus, he seems to be a very talented kid that the coaching staff really likes, and they want to get him going. It's just a matter of if he can actually pull it off. So that's a situation that I definitely wouldn't mind getting a part of.
And Deontay Johnson, stock up, stock down?
Stock is like this. It's flat. Like I don't even know which way to make of it, because he had so much volume upside when he was with the Panthers that you would be like, well, he's the alpha number 1. So even if they suck, he might get like 10 catches for like 70 yards, and I'll have 17 points in PPR, and that's kind of salvageable. I look at him like kind of good. But then when you look at it in this context, he's not going to get that volume with so many pass catchers here. And this is going to be more of a situation. Is he going to be more efficient with his targets? Is he going to be able to get more touchdowns and throws? And just with the way that Lamar Jackson plays, I mean, it's going to be up and down, but it's already been up and down. So I think it kind of keeps him in that wide receiver 3 range that he's really been in the last, few weeks. And ideally, Zay Flowers now kind of comes
too.
Yeah, because he could be and should be probably the number 1 in this offense, but we don't know. Like, he could turn into a hyper target, and Jackson and him like become like Jackson and Johnson, like the biggest law firm in Baltimore, and they're laying shit out. Like, I don't know. Like, this is the crazy part about it, is because Johnson is very talented, and I was like, when I saw this deal go through, I was like wondering why the Chiefs weren't like getting him. Like, I think they got John they spent more for Hopkins
than Hopkins. I think Hopkins is a better fit.
I mean, don't you think Johnson's a little more talented to put
No,
into that offense a little younger?
no.
No, Johnson to me does come off as a very talented player with tons of
I
potential.
sat down. I interviewed Deontay Johnson. No,
Yeah, so I mean, I guess probably that's what Mahomes and them were thinking as well. But it is interesting that we got the Ravens, we got the Chiefs, and we got the Bills all making moves for wide receivers as we get towards the trade deadline. And I think we know what the three alpha teams in the AFC are going to be, and it's going to be a question of who takes what. So Deontay Johnson in fantasy is flat because we really don't know what's going to happen. Am I buying? Am I selling? I really, if I have him, I'm not trading him. If I don't have him, I'm not trying to really go out there and get him. I'm just kind of keeping it as it is. If I see him on the waiver wire, am I going to go pick him up? Maybe, just because it's the Ravens offense and they just traded for the guy, so they might put him into it. But it's really just a speculation at this point. So very flat. But Lamar Jackson to the fucking moon right now. I don't think there's a doubt that he's probably going to be MVP.
pick up one, trade one, drop one.
All right, let's take a quick look at who we got here.
I said that it's too scarce to be dropping. If they want to drop anyone, they can comment after this episode in the comment section, and we'll answer those questions kind of one-on-one.
So if I'm going to trade someone, I'm going to trade Kareem Hunt. I think that he may that's awesome, because I think we're thinking the same thing. He may have peaked right now, and we know that there's a window of Pacheco coming back. So when you put all those factors together, I think we're trending towards sell high, get what you can, and kind of move on for the next player that you can take advantage of. So that's my trade one. My drop one, I mean, after that performance that I saw, I might drop Geno Smith. He has one game and then he has the bye, and in this game he has the Rams. You might get something because he has DK Metcalf, but then you have the bye after that and you get San Francisco. So at least I think for this little window, Geno might be droppable, and going after a guy like Stafford or going after this might make more sense for your team. Or Drake May is starting to show a lot of upside in that game. He didn't play the whole game, but he had 11 points. He had 23 passing yards, 46 rushing yards, a rushing TD. I think with the way that they're using May, he's super interesting. So that's my pickup one. You know what I mean? It just kind of segue right into that.
And then finally, your biggest overreaction from week 8 and bold take for week 9, and then we're going to get out of here.
So my biggest overreaction is that Drake London shit is annoying, man. Like, it's so frustrating with Drake that I would much rather trade him off. Like, if I can trade Drake London and something to get Amon-Ra Brown, that is exactly what I want to be doing, or guys like that, because he's just not consistent enough, in my opinion, because they have so many options on that team. They want to run the ball, they want to throw the ball. It's just too much. And in real life, it's amazing. But in fantasy football, when you're trying to bank on that consistency, unpredictability is kind of not your friend, and that's the way the Falcons offense can run. It can run unpredictable. You can have your third wide receiver going off, as we've seen many of these games with the Falcons. They're just popping everybody off. Kirk is running into traps and stealing traps, so he's really on one. So, and then my bold take for week 9 is I think the Jets might actually win this game and put up some numbers, because this offense, let's face it, they're talking all this Rodgers is admitting all this shit. I think that
Rodgers is an account.
While he isn't MVP Rodgers, he still has some in the tank, I think. And I think that he kind of has a solid game. And this is a plus game for your Jets pieces.
All righty. This has been the Goal Line Goons. Remember, go out there, get your handcuffs. I cannot hammer that at home enough. Make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure that you subscribe. You can give us both a follow. You see where our screen, our handles are. Other than that, we greatly appreciate you guys for tuning in. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. Shouts to the whole entire Big Guy Fantasy crew and the Rum Boys Fantasy Network crew. We love and appreciate all of you. Go Dodgers.
Preaching on the yeah.